Hello and welcome back to the NBA DFS Slate Breakdown for Thursday, February 29th. We're leap year. Think all the operators should have given 4 times the prize pools today because of leap year, but hey, oh well. Now, let's get into the slate, but before we do, come join us at LionStar. I want to bring your attention right down there to our promo offers: ParlayPlay, Sleeper, Underdog, Chalkboard. If you're a new customer with any of them, you can get up to 1 month free. Right around the corner is baseball season. You definitely want to get involved with us for that because it's a good one. We crushed it last season. Pretty excited to get back into that now. Let's get into the slate. So we got a 6-gamer on both sites. They are cutting out the late games. And as always, we will start on FanDuel. So, high-owned point guard, Dennis Schroeder, DeJounte Murray, Jalen Suggs. Schroeder, as I said last time, he hasn't played very well with the Nets. Only played 25 minutes. It was a blowout. He actually was playing very, very well until the blowout. So he hasn't been very good on a fantasy per minute pace with the Nets so far. But we do know he's around a 0.9, 0.95 guy, over his career fantasy points per minute wise. And without Cam Thomas, it definitely looked like he was back to being that guy versus Orlando last time. So I'm willing to chase once again going Schroeder this way. I think without Cam Thomas, it does make some sense there. One thing, though, to be worried about is Ben Simmons is questionable, and there is a slight chance that he could start at point. And if that's the case, maybe Schroeder does not start. And if that happens, his minutes are just a little more volatile. So just pay attention to that when it comes into lock. DeJounte Murray, 8,800 is still too cheap for this guy with the upside that he has. So makes total sense going there. Jalen Suggs, if Banchero's back, it's back to pretty much a healthy Orlando team, and he just doesn't consistently get the minutes there to give us a ceiling. So I don't really love him at higher ownership. Some pivots I got. Damian Lillard. I chased it last time in Charlotte or against Charlotte. Now they're going to Charlotte. Hopefully at Charlotte, it's a little bit of a closer game, but Dame put up 41 in pretty much 3.5 quarters because he didn't play most or half of the third, didn't play the fourth. They just absolutely destroyed Charlotte. But once again, it shows that ceiling is there for him. He crushed it. He just needed a little closer game to really get it. No problems going back to him in a spot that he's already done really well. Fred VanVleet next. This is a spot that I liked versus Phoenix last week. I want to go back there. I think it's a good spot. And with Jalen Green questionable, if he's out, it just raises that floor. And like we've said for a while here, Phoenix or point guards versus Phoenix. Felt like there was one more I had here. Nope. On to Draftkings point guards, high owned. One of the things that we should bring up is sorry, this was yesterday's. High-owned point guards. We got Fred VanVleet, Devin Booker, SGA. So you're paying up for point guard here on DK. Or at least that's what the field is doing. 6.6K for Fred VanVleet is a little bit too cheap. 9.2 for Booker. I absolutely understand why people are trying to go there. SGA is always consideration in play. You do have to consider Jalen Brunson being questionable. If he's out, it brings a whole bunch of Knicks back into the slew here where you can take one of them. So let's move on to the matchup tool here. Point guard, FVV, Markelle Fultz, Damian Lillard. Everybody but Fultz is in play there. On to shooting guard. So we got Modi, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges. Moody he started last game, played 23 minutes, might start again. Andrew Wiggins is out. That is who he started for. One thing here is it could be, multiple guys starting. Clay could slide back into the starting lineup. Gary Payton could slide into it. It could be Moody. They have a slew of guys they could put here. So Moody right now is kind of a placeholder. That's just who started last week or last game. It could be one of those other guys, but I think they're at least interesting in the spot. Don't mind going there. Devin Booker, 9.3K. He's just got that huge ceiling and constantly around 50. Don't mind going there. One of the things we've seen with this Suns team is it's either Booker, Durant, or Beal. Like one of them goes off almost every single game. It's just, how to pick which one. And I think Booker and Durant are both in fine spots. And Murray, we went over. I'm not getting too different at shooting guard right now. I pretty much like the chalk. Getting into Draftkings, we got Mikal Bridges, Booker, and Dillon Brooks. Dillon Brooks, only 4,400 and playing a ton of minutes, playing 32, 33 minutes. If he hits his three-point shot, which the Suns are bottom 10 in three-point allowed, meaning they allow a ton of three-pointers, it makes it an interesting spot. If his shot is falling, he gets a couple extra looks because it's versus the Suns, then there's absolutely chance for him to blow out that 4,400 price tag. So I get why people are going there. Don't love going there if it's high ownership. 15% is not too bad. If it gets higher than that, I'd be a little worried. And into shooting guard. Matchup tool, Josh Giddey, Jalen Suggs, Cody Martin are all the top of the food chain here. None of them I really have that much interest in. I wish Giddey's minutes weren't all over the place. All right, into small forward on FanDuel. We got Cameron Johnson, we got KD, and we have Mikal Bridges. KD is just like Booker. Obviously can get it done. One of them probably does tonight. Just who knows which one. Cameron Johnson, there is some injuries on Brooklyn, so maybe a couple extra minutes. Played 29, started last game. He should probably be right around that 28, 29. There is a big ceiling. It is a pace-up spot. He just has to hit his shots. That's, the big prerequisite with him. Mikal Bridges just hasn't been playing very well lately, and with that, I have a hard time going there. I just don't love it right now. So he is getting minutes. However, they've been in some blowouts too, so he just hasn't played a little bit. And, it's just kind of a funky spot. Nets are just kind of weird right now altogether. Pivot-wise, I like Paolo Banchero. His prices came down a little bit because he's been hurt a little bit. Don't know if he has been out for just illness, so he is still a game time decision today. My issue is just because it was an illness, I do worry that maybe he doesn't come back to like his 35 minutes, but he is a professional NBA player. Would be surprised if his conditioning fell off that much over a couple days. So Banchero, I definitely am interested in. Also, Josh Hart. Josh Hart's one to keep an eye on. If Brunson is out again, his ceiling is just sky high because he will have the ball in his hands so much. And he is such a good rebounder, can pass the ball well. And then if his shot is falling, he can really put up some fantasy points. So definitely a bit intrigued by Hart and, just his hustle. Jalen Johnson. It was all over him last game or last couple games. Without Trae Young, he's like a 1.1 something fantasy per minute guy. Like that is a very high level of production. And then you got the Nets in, an okay matchup. So don't mind going to Jalen Johnson when nobody's going there, when he can put up, 40, 50, whatever. Small forward, we got Bridges, Keldon Johnson, and Dillon Brooks. Got to bring up Keldon Johnson here. So Keldon Johnson had a game versus Utah where he only played 4 minutes, but then just played 34 off the bench versus Minnesota and crushed. He's only 4,900. His skills are up there to score a fantasy point per minute plus. Now, if he has a good game, which this OKC bench is much worse than their starters, I think there's a little bit of a possibility to go to Johnson, and he has a solid ceiling. He can get you 40, 50 off the bench if he is playing well and gets 30 minutes. Talked about Brooks. Whitmore's fine. Guy's been producing. He's just a roll of the dice because you never know how many minutes he's going to get. Small forward on matchup tool, Lou Dort, Moses Moody, Josh Hart, all looking good. And power forward on FanDuel, Cameron Johnson, Kevin Durant, Taylor Hendricks, DFS, Paulo Banchero. DFS got some minutes the other day, got it done. But his minutes are just all over the place. Played 30, played 25, then down to 21. Really hard to guess how many minutes he's going to get day in and day out. At least Cam Thomas is out, so maybe that gives him a little bit extra. But if Ben Simmons is in, Simmons could easily take some time at the 4 and just knock down Dorian Finney-Smith's minutes a little bit. I don't mind him. I just wish he was lower owned. If he was lower owned, I'd be a little bit more willing to take shots on him. Taylor Hendricks, he's still cheap. He's starting. He's been playing 26 to 29 minutes as the starter. If he plays well, he gets a little extra run, but I think 26 or so is about the floor for him, and I'm fine going back to him at that price point. Josh Hart and Jalen Johnson we covered already, and power forward on DraftKings got Cameron Johnson, Victor Wembanyama, Keldon Johnson are the high-owned guys. I'm fine with any of them. Wemby is just such an absolute beast. His price is finally up to 10K. The thing with Wemby is his normal game isn't going to get it done for you, but he has these outliers where he just has a ton of blocks, tons of steals, and those are the games you need. My worry is I don't think this is that matchup that he's going to get those extra steals and blocks. Thunder are good with the ball and don't allow that many steals and blocks, on a league average wise. So I don't think this is a Wemby game, but can never talk you off him just because that ceiling is huge. And on to power forward matchup tool, we got Paulo Banchero, Precious Achiuwa, Dorian Finney-Smith. All are absolutely fine. Precious, if Brunson's out, he's going to get a little bit more work. Hartenstein's still on a minute limit too, so you can count on 38 to 30 or to 40 minutes. So he does become a little more interesting if Brunson's out. Just more work going his way and more minute security. On to the center spot. Highest owned guy, Alperen Sengun. And next is Nick Claxton. I like some Alperen Sengun. It's the last game of the night, which I always fancy a little bit. It is versus the Suns, which is an okay matchup, but relatively close game. It is in Phoenix. Sengun is going to have to show up. Your stars have to show up on the road to really have a chance in the NBA when you're on the road. So one of higher game totals and relatively close game that could stay close deep into the game. Pivot-wise, Chet Holmgren, 8,200. Guy has a 60-point ceiling. He's versus the Spurs, who have been bad against center. He's not your normal center, which gives me a little apprehensive, just a little apprehensive with him. But I do think it's a good spot. We have a 38.71 projection for him, almost 5x as a median projection. Last time he was in San Antonio, we went for 43. The other thing is, last couple nights he's played extra minutes, 33 and 34. If they start to bring him to that 33, 44 minutes instead of like the 30, 31 that he's at, he starts to become a lot more interesting. Just so much more room for those steals, blocks, points, rebounds, all that stuff. So definitely a little bit intrigued by Holmgren. And center on DraftKings, we got Nick Claxton, Wemby, and Clint Capella. Capella up to 25 minutes last game, so maybe He's, getting up to 26, 27. There is no Okongwu. So definitely try and pay attention to what's going on with his minutes or any news. If they pull that restriction with no Okongwu, he could totally play 28, 30 minutes. And if that's the case, 5.3K is way too cheap. As it is, 26 minutes, 25 minutes, it's okay. I don't mind it, don't love it. It's just kind of there. And let's get to the matchups. Wendell Carter Jr. with the top matchup. My issue with him is, so he has played a couple extra minutes recently, but I think that is largely because Paulo Banchero's been out, and so he's just asked to do a little bit more. Banchero's back. I think those extra minutes are gone. I think he's back at 26 minutes, and in that case, I don't really like him. Holmgren shows up. Nick Richards is showing up, and close behind, we got Wemby. All right, guys, that will do it for us today. You all have a good one, and please like, comment, and subscribe to our videos. Helps us a ton. And if you like what you see, subscribe. Come join the fun. Adios. Bye. Guy.